basically. And
True.
so, when you don't feel there's a need to, to show or to represent other people, it's because you think, oh, just being in a white world, in a normalized white world, is the way it should be. And that's what you've
Yeah.
always known. So it's normal. Like, what's the big deal, right? If you are a member of the majority, you don't think there's anything wrong, right? But if you are part of the minority, you think like, where am I? Right, Vivian?
And
Where
that's
am
and
I?
that's and that's also one of the reasons why I love working with VR. So this is something that I have to share. A lot of people don't realize that people of color or people from the underrepresented groups are dealing with a lot of isms that are invisible for the majority, right? With the VR tool, you have the ability to be me. With the VR tool, you have the ability to be someone else so that you can, even for 5 minutes, experience what others are experiencing and see why they get angry, see why they are frustrated, see why certain emotions pop up in the workplace, and also see a way for you to do better. Because now that you have seen this experience, now that you have experienced this thing yourself where you are being excluded or you are being treated in a certain way or you're dealing with a whole Me Too situation, now that you know that and have experienced that for yourself, what can we do to do better? And that's where I believe that VR can definitely add a value because it accelerates the awareness, it activates the empathy, and it also creates a deeper conversation. So in the beginning, I told you about some people are swimming in the kiddie pool. With the VR, you can accelerate people from swimming from the
Mm-hmm.
kiddie pool to pool number 1 or number 2,
Mm,
for
hmm.
instance.
Absolutely. You just raised a very, very key point. And another point that Anka Sanaman raises here, she says,
Mm-hmm.
it's the inclusivity that's so lacking. And I
Yeah,
feel that so. I feel that, Anka Sanaman, thank you. You can't have diversity or equity without being truly inclusive. Maybe we
yeah.
should change the order of how we say it. That's brilliant. That's a good point. Like, what do you think about that? I mean, so we have the VR, and I'm a big, advocate for VR because that kind of immerses you in that. But
It's
what
an
about even,
embodiment.
huh?
It's an embodiment.
Exactly. And what about even the way we address DEI? Because we kind of start with the diversity and the equity, but it's the inclusion that makes the difference. Like, without that, you literally have nothing, right?
True, true. But I do have to say that the equity part is not known in a lot of countries. So a lot of countries talk about DNI,
Mm-hmm.
right? And not realizing that you need to provide people tools for them to embrace and also to amplify their superpowers. So your tool might be that you need extra glasses or you need something else to amplify your career. And I
Mm-hmm.
need something else to amplify our career. Realizing that the realizing that we don't have the same upbringing, we don't have the same college, we don't have the same study, but yet again, we are both being amplified in the workplace because we are given certain tools so that we can be ourselves and that we can embrace ourselves in the workplace.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, and I think that is one area that could, of course, when we talk about DEI, like the
Mm,
equity and inclusion, it's like you start from the known, and then you're going into equity, which then
yeah,
amplifies the inclusion. So meeting people where they're at, absolutely,
yeah.
and then it's
I
akere
also like.
akran.
Uh,
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
also have to say something about that because you're
Mm,
saying meeting people where they are at, and I want to say that we need to amplify people from where they are starting. So I'm not
mm,
meeting you where you are at, but I can accelerate your journey by sharing what you know, by sharing what you need to know to
mm,
be somewhere at my level, right? Because
mhm.
meeting people where they're at, it feels like a back and forth thing that you're going back, and we need to prevent us from going back and forth the whole time. I want to
Mm,
accelerate, amplify their DEI journey so that they can start from wherever point they are at. And I
mm,
really like the comment about selective inclusion.
mhm. Yeah. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Well, International Women's Day is coming, right?
Mm-hmm.
And given the fact that this month in the US it's Black History Month, but still I want to combine that with International Women's Day because when you look at the boards in the Netherlands, but also elsewhere in Europe,
Mm,
you'll see women are there, right? But when you dig a little deeper, Do you see the intersectionality? And that's
Mm,
where I feel, not I feel, I know that that's selective inclusion, because now that there are, I'm not against any white women, but I do have to share that
yeah,
I'm lacking representation of women of color.
right.
It's lacking.
Yeah.
And that's something that needs to be done, because women of color have different needs, and we also see things different in a different way. And not
Absolutely.
having that representation means it's not trickled down to the whole organization, right? Because why are you adding women on boards if you're not including the diversity of women?
Exactly. Absolutely. And just imagine the potential, right? Just imagine the
Mm,
potential that's missing. That that
exactly.
knowledge is missing as well, right?
Exactly. And also referring to the McKinsey. McKinsey have done several studies
Mm.
that ethnic diverse companies have more financial gain.
Right. Right.
And when we look at the bottom line, isn't financial gain the thing that a lot of companies are looking for?
Yeah, you would think, right? But still there's but still there's this gap still exists. So yeah, absolutely. I also want to Gary Turner says, love the idea of using VR to experience being othered. Yes.
Yeah.
You actually have done a lot in this space. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that? Thank you so much,
Yeah,
Gary.
so I've recently I've ever since last year, the end of last year, I partnered with Anita Baisa, who is, let's say we are two peas in a pot,
Mhm.
and she does the technical part and I do the training. But with the VR thing, I noticed that a lot of people were talking about racism isn't here, or we don't have this, or
Mm,
nobody said this, or did Peter do that? No, Peter is a good guy. Why should Peter say that? No, I
he's
don't
a nice guy.
believe you that Peter said that.
Mm,
So for people to be able to experience how it means to be uttered, right? Instead of
mm,
talking about it, why not show you?
mm,
Instead of show you, why not let you experience what I might be feeling just for
mhm,
5 minutes?
mhm,
Because after what you have seen, you cannot unsee what you have seen.
mm. Yeah, and that's really the power of VR. I think that that immersive experience is what allows people to, like you rightly said,
Yeah,
feel and see things that you
yeah.
normally would we take things for granted, right? We when we experience life in general, we are
It's not
literally
only that the thing that we take for granted, but some people really are not aware of the barriers that others are facing, and some people have never faced those barriers. So sometimes it can be intentional, but sometimes a lot of times it's unintentional because they have never been through that experience.
right, right. No, yeah, yeah, exactly. But I'm just saying, like, with the VR, it just helps people to
Mm,
raise that awareness. And we know that self-awareness
exactly.
is an element that is lacking a lot of times
Yeah,
because we
yeah,
don't really engage in this self-interrogation, right? So this is
yeah.
a huge tool. And I think when we talk about solving this problem, which is endless, this idea of dealing with the issue of representation and really bringing awareness, whether it's in government, in school, in writing, literature, the universities, these are all, halls of power. It could also help to bring this awareness to that level so that people can see, oh yeah, you're right. I mean, we know we've been talking about this for so many years, and the time has come. There's the technology to really help amplify these voices and to help really bring awareness around the issues, right? So there really should be no excuses, right?
Just to give you an example of what happened, I think in the month of November, December, an image went viral, right? There was this African student who was creating a crowdfunding for an image he created of a black woman
Hmm.
carrying a baby.
Hmm.
I've never seen that before. Have you
Hmm.
seen that? A lot of people never saw that, realizing that so many medical books are based on the white body.
Right.
And things on our body, on a black body, is being is experienced differently, but also seen differently. And if we don't provide that representation, then it can cause a life or death situation where it can be detrimental for the other.
Well, absolutely. And we have heard of cases of, women experiencing, like when they would go to the hospital, they would get less
Hmm.
drugs because they're like, oh, you're a black woman, you're a strong woman. I mean,
I heard and I
and this
cried too.
continues. I'm sorry.
I hurt and I cried too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, this is really great. Akira, oh, I don't know if I'm pronouncing her name correctly. Akere, I think. I'm not sure. Maybe you can tell me if I'm saying it correctly. She says here, before we wrap up, she says, I
Hmm.
think we need to give everyone an equal chance, which recognizes their diversity. Then
Mm,
provide equitable access by recognizing their peculiarities again, which would eventually lead to a successful
yeah.
inclusion. Well said. Well
I
said.
believe in creating an inclusive workplace. You need to know the ingredients. You need
Mm,
to know everybody's ingredients, but also realize that your company, your people decide the ideal inclusion
mm,
recipe, right?
mhm.
Because the recipe that is applied to Google or to a Starbucks is different than the recipe that is applied to your company. So the best thing
Absolutely.
that you can do is have a conversation. Where do you see diversity? What do you value on diversity? And how can we together collaborate towards an inclusive workplace?
Absolutely. And this is exactly what I try to promote on my platform, Inclusive Workplaces with Amar, because this is exactly right. Like, how do we
Yeah,
share these best practices to really ensure that we're building a workplace that is inclusive? And when you think about it, yes, where lots of us are working from home and some of us are maybe going back to the workplace, we spend such a crazy amount of time working with
exactly.
people. This
Yeah,
has to be part of the fabric or the framework
yeah.
of workplace, right? So we're about to round off, and I wanted to just, Vivian, can you tell us, a little bit some of the things you're working on, and maybe where people can find you?
Yeah, I'm working on a lot of things, but what I can share right now is the Amplify empathy. So the VR training that I talked about, that's something that is very actual. And unfortunately, in the Netherlands, a Me Too situation happened. Me Too on the Voice of Holland. And now a lot of companies are reaching out to us for providing a Me Too prevention training, right? So
Mm,
that's something that we are working on.
okay.
Amplify DEI 2022. It will be coming this year in a different way, a smaller
Okay.
way. It's still impactful, but it will be coming. And in the meantime, I'm providing training, I'm providing workshops for any company that wants to support their employees and also wants to become inclusive. So that's what I'm working on at that moment right now.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Vivian, for coming on. This was really valuable. And I'm sure people are saying thank you. I see, oh, we have some people from all the way from the Palestine showing it. Wow. Bye, Manny.
Thank you.
Hello. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome. And we also have, oh, great. Oh, yes. We have Anke Sinaman also sharing something really quickly. And I want to just quickly, put that up before we say
Yeah, the
goodbye.
single story. Yes,
Yes,
yes, yes.
absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much, Ankasanam, and you've been so fantastic and sharing.
Yeah.
Thank you. And Vivian, I just want to say a quick thank you to you, a warm thank you, not a quick one, a warm thank you for coming on the show. And I think this was really valuable for everyone. And just imagine everyone, staying in here, waiting and not waiting, but you know what I mean, just being here and sharing. I want to thank everyone, Ankasanam and Akere. My Money for joining in, and everyone else. We have Juliet, and I know Helkin was here, and Melanie as well, and Gary Turner. You guys are
Hi,
amazing.
Melanie. Hi, everybody.
Thank you, and Chris and Chike. Okay, gosh, everyone that's joined us today. I just want to say a huge thank you. And literally every week, I'm going to try and bring in another voice to share because can we really expand all the different elements that make inclusive workplaces, Vivian?
Exactly. I
No.
think eventually you can, but we need to provide everybody the space for them to speak up and to talk about, right? That's the thing
Absolutely.
that we want to. And the fact that you are providing an example of how you can engage, people can engage in a conversation without stepping on people's toes, because that's the thing.
Mhm.
Um, it's a good start. 2022, we are going to make the world more inclusive than ever.
Yes, let's do this. So in the comment section, please say let's do this if you agree with us. and, and with that, I'm going to end the show. Thank you so much for coming. Dank you
You.
well. And all the best.
Graag
Thank you,
gedaan.
everyone. Goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you. That thanks. Bye, everyone.